Weeks ago, our beautiful Sharon here sang us the grown-up Christmas wish list. And it kind of stuck with me, and I'm just going to read a few of the lyrics here because it starts me out on my beautiful message to you today. It says, "Do you remember me? I sat upon your knee. I wrote to you with childhood fantasies. Well, I'm all grown up now and still need help somehow. I'm not a child, but my heart still can dream. So here's my lifelong wish, my grown-up Christmas list. Not for myself, but for a world in need." And our beautiful world that we live in, and I'm talking the world, has some requirements. I'm not such a big fan of need, but it needs something. And I know in this room today that before we leave, we will have activated a miracle for our world. I know that. Because I am that very life force spirit, and each and every one of you are as well. So I had this story I wanted to share with you. I love storytelling because storytelling, like the Master Jesus, he was great with that because he would tell in parables because, he didn't want to do lectures. So what he did was he just told stories because people understood them more. They could relate to them. And there's a story that I told a couple of years ago that I found in our History Channel, which once again, it's kind of like mechanics. I don't spend a lot of time at the History Channel, but it was very, very beautiful. And it was about World War I and 1914. There was an incredible miracle that took place, and they even call it the Christmas miracle, the Christmas truce. And it touched me differently this time. I kind of skirted it over a couple of years ago, but it really, really resonated and really spoke to me and said, we have to hear this story again, and we have to not hear this story, we must act upon this story. So here we are in wartime, which World War I was, as I see, like 15 million people by the time it was all over, went away. Something very outrageous as far as the war itself by the time it was actually over. But on 1914, on Christmas Eve, something fabulous happened. These guys are all muddy in their trenches, and we've got the British over here and the Germans over there. Those people and those people. And they're in these trenches, and they called it no man's land. And it was sitting there. And it was night, and they were cold, and they were muddy, and they were wondering, what the hell am I even doing here? Don't get me started on the war thing. I'm not even a pure 60s child, but don't get me started. So they're sitting there, and they hear this sound coming from across the trenches, across the fence, and they hear, oh my God, is that Christmas carols? Someone's singing Christmas carols. The Germans were singing in their best English Christmas carols. And they said, could this be? And just think of the division. And there's a big metaphor here, my friends, about a division. Them over there and us over here. And they walk up, and the German soldiers said, come on over. Well, they're not trained for that. Oh, yeah, I'll just come on over. No, I don't think so. And he said, come on over. And he says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will meet you halfway. Meet you halfway. And they walked. And they went halfway. And they shook hands. And then they started to party. Party, man. And if you've ever been around some Germans and some Brits, they know how to party, along with the Irish. Just throw that in there too. But they started partying. Now imagine this. They've been out there blowing each other away, walking over bodies to get over to this uniting for a moment. They called an unofficial truce. They said, for tonight, We're going to forget what we've been doing. And they went over and they partied. They played soccer. They did all of these wonderful things. The Brits were cutting their hair. And can you imagine this? I'm going to get all excited now. Wait. Can you imagine? They're sitting there cutting their hair with scissors. Trusting. I'm cutting your hair with scissors that I could just as easily kill you. Because we are enemies. Why? Because somebody told us we were. I digress for just a moment. A gentleman came up to me the other day and he said, you know, it's interesting. I was born here, Hawaiian, local. He goes, I was actually taught to hate you. Can you imagine? He said, can you imagine? I said, I can't. So back to the wonderful party. Can you imagine, though, we're in the middle of a war, and here's the great news about this, is that you're sitting there partying with the people that you have just shot, and they actually went over and helped them with their people to put them over in there to bury them at a later time. They were doing the same people that were killing, putting it down. This is good news. This isn't morbid. This isn't something horrible. It's good news. For 24 hours, they forgot everything else and decided to love. To love one another, to party. They had wine and everything. I mean, they were partying. And they were dancing. Can you imagine these guys were out there dancing? Whew. But here's the other 411 on this. While they were doing all of this, there were reports later on that some of the same things were happening on the French borders, on other borders, because we're so powerful that when we ignite it, we say we're not enough, but when we start one little ripple, it is just that ripple that can start anything. So when you think you're by yourself and we can't do anything until they do something, or we can't do it till everybody comes together, that isn't true. Whatever we put out, that's why science of mind, spiritual mind treatment is so powerful, because we speak the word and activate the energy and it goes out. And if we stay long enough to get out of its way, wow. But my question is, if you can do it for 24 hours, why would you go back? As a matter of fact, I remember when they were saying, when they were leaving, they walked up to each other when they were going to go back. They were going to go back to war, and he said, this has been wonderful. Shook hands again and said, now let's go serve our country. And they went back. Interesting little side note I didn't bring up because I didn't get this excited about this story the last time I told it. So it says such a thing should not happen. These were people that were against it. Things like this shouldn't happen in wartime with their best German accent. Have you no German sense of honor left? And that 25-year-old soldier that was so much against that, you might know his name, Adolf Hitler, 25 years old. On that same night, in that same miracle, a young man at 25 years old was saying, where is your allegiance? But here is where we're going with this. There's a ceasefire, right? So I'm asking us all right now, because we're all having a war at some time or another in our own minds, do we not? And so I declare today that we have a ceasefire on it. And I mean it. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to tell you a little woo-woo, and then you're going to all go, wasn't that fabulous? And then you're going to go out. No, we're going to have a 24-hour truce. And this is how it's going to work. Ooh, I'm all directorial. I excited myself just then. Here's how it works. For 24 hours, and if you want to go longer, please do, we're going to stop firing horrible things in our heads. about life, about others, about whatever. And if there's a conflict you're having in your life right now with anyone, you're going to cease fire. And you're going to reach down into the very depths of the trenches that we have built ourselves. And we're going to love. We're going to love, and not love all the people that are just fun and get invited to the parties. We're talking about the other ones. We have such a war. There are people right now not going to each other's houses for the holidays because of their difference of opinions. Politics has to be put aside. I can't go there. I can't. They have a mask. They don't have a mask. Vaxxed, not vaxxed. It's all a bunch of nonsense. And I'm not afraid to say it. But here it is. Nobody gets to be sitting on the holier than thou side of this supposed war. Nobody. This is an opportunity like we have never had in our lifetime, ever. We have an opportunity to create a vibration, a frequency, a vibration that can change the world. That's how powerful. But I'm not going to get it by me having to be right and you have to be wrong. I can't do it. It's not working. First of all, war has never worked. Why? Because our basic nature is I am love. And I don't want to blow you away. It doesn't make sense. So we have to watch our mouths. We have to watch our language. And no matter what language you speak, but we have to all start speaking the language of love. And it has to start in this island. It has to start in your homes. It has to start everywhere that we are. It has to start with our children. It has to start, the most important, is to cease fire on yourself. Oh God. The story that she was talking about, this beautiful man ceasing, constantly firing on himself. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Have you ever been there? No. This beautiful, beautiful life I'm looking at, Zena, that you're rocking right now. That's who we all are. We have little children that are screaming out, please make it safe. I'm scared. That's all this is. All this nonsense, all this throwing stuff at people. It's because you're scared little boys and girls. And they need a parent. They need a strong parent to come forth and say, I got you. We're going forward now. We're going to go over across there. And here's the other thing. Don't wait to meet somebody halfway. You go first. You go first. You go first. You go first. This is like wild, man. This is wild that we came together on the 19th of December, on your mama's birthday. And we have ancestors. We have a power that's working with us, saying, I got you. I got you no matter what's going on in your life. So I have an invitation for you. And the invitation, besides cease firing, I have an invitation. Proctor says it really well. And this is how you're going to get this miracle activated. You're going to decide, and you're going to agree and commit that I'm stopping the ceasefire, and I don't care if everybody else. And guess what? If they don't, and I get a few bullets, it's okay. Life's eternal. Life's eternal. But he says this, choose what it is that you want. How do you want to live? And then you say no to everything that is not that. You say no to it. The moment the self-righteousness comes up, and you say, but how do I do my cause? You do your cause, first of all, you do your cause with love, and you'll see a whole change. Because I know this. You start pointing your finger at me, I'm out of here. This vegan, meat eaters, whatever, the whole thing. We got all these little clubs. And the moment you tell me, oh, you beautiful vegans, the minute you tell me how bad I am about my meat, I go to the burger and I go and I eat it immediately. That's the human nature. That's not saying, what we say to somebody is, I'm going to tell you about me. So let's go back, and then I'm closing up this shindig that we all started today. This day, this moment will never happen again. We have an opportunity to take ourselves out of the maze. This maze we're wandering in. Our little kitty cat was abused for many years, and every time she goes to eat, she's looking around. She's in the safest place she can be. She lives in a palace. But she's always doing this because it's programming. Let's undo the programming. Let's undo it today. And for 24 hours, let's just bathe in a ceasefire. Bathe in the truths of life. Bathe in love. Namaste, my dear friends.